tried it backstage. Could I hold on? Should I hold on to you? Ask, I'll tell the truth. There's nothing I should hide.
I believe that you've been, or your music has been, one of the major influences in what's been, this is not ass-kissing in any way, by the way, this is, because that's not my style, but, I really believe that your music has influenced some of what's been going on in the American music in the latest years, last 3, 4, 5 years, especially with bands like so-called, you know, hailing from indie and so-called emo core bands, if you want to be really specific, but bands like Dashboard Confessional or Bright Eyes or especially Pedro the Lion. Those are really similar.
No, I hear more of like Built to Spill in those bands. I think Built to Spill actually were, I would say, more influential, like it vocally, and I'd say Sebadoh maybe had an influence sort of philosophically, you know, maybe like in the tone of the lyrics and the confessional type of lyrics maybe, but I think the delivery of the music is much more influenced by Pavement, Built to Spill, and then things like the Pixies. And I think my belief, I guess, is like that things like Sebadoh and in my band Dinosaur Jr., I mean, like we're influential, but in ways that I have a hard time. I don't think we're like direct. I think it's. I don't hear things that sound like Sebadoh. If all we have is a question, there's no hope to find a future. But something in me cries for you. It feels too real this time. Sebadoh was we were far simpler than anything that I hear as emo. We played very simple music, like, and I hear when in a lot of emo, it's like it's not that simple. It's like there's a lot of chords and a lot of singing, a lot of words, and to me, I think I want things to be very simple. I want things to be as simple as like a folk song, and when I say folk, I don't mean like Bob Dylan, and I mean folk like just the most simple music that you can think of, and I've always felt that way, and I never hear that in any, I think maybe philosophically, like I said, maybe we influence people, but I don't hear. I think I love you, though I don't know what that means. The girl of my dreams, or a friend that one day leaves. And could we trust this? When I lied to myself before, and I do it all again, to taste what I've imagined we could be.
Curiously enough, your album is called Emo, because it's a clever play of words, I think, that's my opinion, on a song you have called Home, because it's read backwards. Is emo home to you?
Emo? No. Well, I mean, maybe, but emo to me is something, I mean, that's a music that began in 1985 out of the ashes of the hardcore scene with bands like Embrace, Ian Mackay's Embrace, and Rites of Spring, which was, you know, the bands that then, like, eventually have formed Fugazi, which were to me like, but those bands were the DC-based. They were called emo back then. It was called, it was called emo core because it was so emotional and the vocals were very, and that was to me the genesis of what became what we know now as emo, and later on the sort of like at the drive-in and
And we're listening to the Mars Volta right now, actually.
Well,
So
this is something more. I think they took it into some other realm. But I think that if you're just talking about this guitar-based sort of heavily manically strummed and music, you know.
in your face, total, everything in your face, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and for me, I mean, I guess I've never. I mean, I've always found something that I have in common with emo, but it's not the way that I play. It's not the way that I sing. It might. I think it's more in the way that I I sing about things that are very emotional, I think, but I don't choose to show that emotion, or I simply can't show that emotion through yelling. I prefer to like reflect what I hear as the voice in my head, and the voice in my head is not a screaming voice. It's more of like my talking voice. It's more of like a voice that's just going over things and trying to figure out things in my head. So it's more of just a voice. It's not a, because that's something that's really personal that I don't do.
This pressure that we feel, and in a world of possibility, this may not prove real. And could we give a nod, backed against a wall, too close to breathe, but too far to fall?
But it's curious because when I listen to Home, and I don't usually ever feel like mentioning lyrics to an artist, but usually it's not something I usually do, but you say something like someone who pretends to be alone and someone who can't bring you home. I find that hilarious, first of all, and secondly, I actually thought, you know, it is, okay, it's probably cruel on my part, but
Yeah.
Pearl, listen to me now. I'm about to bring you down. There are things I need to tell you that can't wait.
you know, because of emo being the opposite of, or read backwards, or Home read backwards, I thought maybe you're taking a hit at, you know, recent artists. Maybe that's a really far-fetched interpretation.
Not really. I would never. I mean, I think no.
Okay, that settles it then. So
No, I mean, I think to me, there's one band that stands out to me as being emo, is Death Cab for Cutie, which I really like that band. And by saying emo, like using that thing, I guess it was just a play on. It was a play on the words, and I guess because people do mention emo with Sebadoh, and I just thought it was funny. Oh yeah, no. When Sebadoh went on, we did a reunion tour a few years ago, and every city that we would go to, there would be maybe a little write-up in the paper, you know, like a little article in the local paper, and it would say, emo, you know, emo godfather Sebadoh. You know.
What once before it felt so free, let tomorrow be. I can't be so impatient, pushing every answer when there isn't any question that we feel good now. And though this may have to end, I hope I'm always with you. Honestly, old friend, I think I love you. It's my revival, it's my day in the sun. It's nothing special, but I'm grateful for the song in my lungs.
Lou, is this your first time in Portugal?
Technically, no. But it's the first time that I've been able to spend enough time in Portugal to see it and enjoy myself, which I have very much so. In the last.
'Cause I like singing, I like it a lot. It It's deeper breathing, it's the reason these mysteries will be solved.
What are you thinking of it so far?
It's one of the most interesting places I've been to because there's a real combination between it being modern but also very old. Like coming through the countryside from Spain. We came through the southern part. I don't know that it's the name of the region. Alentejo.
Alentejo.
Okay. We came through there, and I mean, I literally saw shepherds with dogs tending their flock, and people with coming down the road with horse-drawn, or actually donkey-drawn carriages and women with babushkas, sort of I mean, it really felt as though I was seeing something old, and a very agrarian culture, a very, I mean, I felt, and it's not something that you see when you're driving through Spain and Germany, and I mean, I think you may see it as you move further on into Eastern Europe, but I haven't been there yet. So for me, it was actually a very I found it really interesting, and really I feel very privileged that I'm able to just being able to drive from the south of Spain to come here, and then to come to this city, which is Lisbon is such a strange and beautiful city, sort of decaying but at the same time vibrant and modern, and it's really interesting. I love it.
Who would have known a flower couldn't bloom on its own? Well, I tried, I watered, the flower died.
It reminds me of a bit of like Paris. I think is a very beautiful city, and Lisbon is similarly beautiful because so many cities in Europe were destroyed in World War II. I mean, Paris was saved because they gave up, and I think somehow Portugal was spared because it's so far across the Spanish plains that. But it's amazing how influential Portugal is, just in culture, world culture, and then it's just, I don't know, fascinating, and but the house still there is this old, very old style of agrarian farmers, and I'm being redundant, but
it's fine.
To be, I mean, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Sim, estamos a fazer só uma entrevista. Okay. Fans screaming out.
He runs the place.
Oops.
Still I wanna be the one. I wanna be the one that you call. I wanna be the one you fell and you fall for.
You've played with 4 strings on some songs, and how did that happen to our viewers? Could you explain?
I was given guitars by my parents. My parents gave me guitars very early on, and then I would break the strings, and then I couldn't afford to get new strings, and so I would just play with the strings that were left, and then eventually my mother she found a ukulele for me for $5, and when she gave me that, the ukulele was such a beautiful instrument that I began writing the songs that became Sebedo songs on this ukulele. So it was 4 strings, and then I adapted the tuning, the 4-string tuning, from regular guitars into electric guitars so I could continue to play those songs.
And I'm growing meaner, but not all the time. Good things you've said are ringing in my head. You give the strength to get up, get out, get into.
Did you ever record with the ukulele?
Oh, many times, yeah. Early on, especially, yeah.
And for instance, the Freed Weed and stuff like that?
That's it, yeah.
That's why I could never play it myself.
Yeah.
Now I found out why.
How I wanna be the one. I wanna be the one that you call. I wanna be the one you fell and you fall for.
What's your favorite type of underwear?
I
said I was going to ask this.
don't wear underwear.
Now everyone knows Lou Barlow is against underwear.
I find it constricting, and I find it that it's important to let your genitals breathe. Otherwise, you can get nasty things like ringworm, otherwise known as jock itch, which I've had, and it's really unpleasant. So I tend to I let my boys breathe.
And here you have it.
I know I wanted more than you could give to me. I know there'll come a day I understand. Until then I'll be trying to solve your mystery and wonder why I couldn't make you stay.
About your album, your new album, do you think it has any new, how does it reflect itself on the evolution of the way you write, for instance? Or what does it bring that it's really new, other than the new songs? Basically, talk about your album, please.
I guess to my ears, it's an expansion of what I did originally with Sebadoh, which was recording with ukulele on a 4-track and making the recordings myself without collaborating. Sebadoh became an electric band and became like a 3-piece rock band, but the original Sebadoh was home recordings with ukulele or guitar, regular guitar. And I guess for me it was like this emo is a return to making my own recordings, but sort of expanding on the ideas that I had originally. To me it's like a little step forward from what I had done in the lo-fi realm. It's a little bit like lo-fi taken a little bit more hi-fi, simply because we live in a digital age, and I have a computer now, and tape is.
You can't escape the Pro Tools, man.
You can't, and I didn't. I gave in. I gave in to Pro Tools. You're absolutely right.
You gave me all your secrets. Were you testing me? And how could I do anything but smile?
Tried to use Pro Tools in a way that made sense to me and that sounded good to me, which is very difficult.
Which you should, by the way.
Yeah, no, Pro Tools can sound really good, but you need to find friends that can give you the very expensive plugins, and you need to combine the Pro Tools with analog equipment like cassette recorders, and that's what I did. I combined it with the analog things that I have that still work, and then
for instance, that thing you used on whoa. Okay, this is basically the end of it. This is actually the end. So thanks, Lou. We're still recording, so thank you, Lou, and see you next time, and good luck with the tour.
Thank you.